There we go. We're recording. And so anybody who wants to be quietly anonymous, you can turn your camera off. And you know what? It just feels like we're going to start and, honor your time and everybody that has shown up. And so what I'm going to do is go down here and I'm going to mute everybody so that we can start. Where is, there we go. So we're going to mute you all. So thank you so much for sharing. Thanks for connecting with me live here. And so we're going to go right into transmission mode, if that's okay with you guys. So thank you and hello, and thanks for showing up. Okay. So there we go. Silence is golden. So as I said, welcome and thanks for showing up. It's a wonderful gift that James has invited all of you to receive tonight. And you will be receiving a session, an experience of inner resonance technologies, IRT. Bruce Lipton loves that acronym because he says we're needing to have faster ways of clearing and connecting and aligning with our greatest potential here on the planet at this time. That we are at crisis point and we do need to shift dramatically. And all of you that are showing up are doing so in that energy of what we have been told is the great shift of the ages. And so it's very exciting, and more opportunities are happening the more we connect into our own magnificent selves. And so this is a fast track. It's a catalyst that allows you to do to add to everything and anything else that you do for yourself out there, any technique, any modality, going for a massage, whatever it might be that you're doing. At the end of the experience of inner resonance tonight, I will guide you through anchoring in what I call a touch breath that will allow you to activate the chemistry of wholeness and the frequency of greater freedom to be more of who you truly are, and clear of what no longer needs to be to define you in any way, shape, or form. So we're moving into that level that we can be self-empowered, that we're not victim of anything outside of ourselves. We're not victim to anything inside ourselves. And the truth is, we are spiritual beings breathing our portion of oneness and infinite potential into our container, our body, our supercomputer, our experiencer of consciousness in this realm, in this dimension. And so based on that idea alone, so much is possible. And so people used to tell me, oh, everything's within you, everybody would go and have readings and have people, give them insights into, different situations or different parts of themselves. And so I thought, oh, this is cool. I'm going to go for a few readings here. And what's this all about? And so every time I got told, the answers are within you, well, what about Susie, who had our tape of all this information, And the reasons for that, as I discovered, were that, I was to develop this technique, this, do you want to call it? This protocol, I call it, that allows you to get very, very clear about who you really are and be completely comfortable in your own skin and be enough in that as you show up in your peaceful, loving frequency. That's enough. And from that place of being enough and just being at peace within yourself, then that's the place you get inspired. That's the place where who you are then automatically shows up. And so from that point of view, it's a wonderful adventure as we are able then to, just adjusting this view here. Let's just keep it like it is. This is good, sorry. Yeah, so, it's a wonderful adventure in self-discovery and self-empowerment, because I don't know if any of you know of the work of Nassim Haramein of the Resonance Project. He has a Resonance Academy, and he has a theory of unified field physics that shows mathematically that each one of our cells, who we are in our physicality, is the crossover point. The unified field theory says that there's a unified science that that combines the Newtonian physics of what we see outside of ourselves in the grander scheme of the cosmos, and the same applies to the infinite small quantum realm within us. And so the crossover point, physicists will call the event horizon, because that's the very point, like a figure eight, where you're going way out and then you come back in, and there has to be a point where you cross over into the really, really tiny. Does that make sense, right? And so, so that crossover point is the biological cell. And that's what I love about all the different sciences and different points of view, because Dr. Bruce Lipton then says that it's the membrane on the skin that is the crossover point, that is the gates and channel that allows the information from out there, from your environment, to then get accepted and processed through your inner ability to respond and have a physical response to the world around you. And Dr. Lipton also speaks of epigenetics. I call him the father of epigenetics, and that is, epi means like above, a signal above. So for example, epidermis is the top layer. So epigenetic means that there's a signal from above the gene that creates the action in the gene, and shows it and has it expressed in different ways. And so it's our environment, that it's our whole environment that has an impact and influences us in how we feel and how our bodies act and react. And so from that point of view, I have a big announcement to make. Are you ready for this? We're all out of our minds. Did you know that? We're all out of our minds, because our minds are in a field all around us. And so what happens with our being out of our mind, we're in a field, our minds are in a field all around us. The body is just like a communication device, like a cell phone, like a computer, like a radio. And that, includes our body, includes our brain, right? But a consciousness is in a field all around us. And that is where all of the information from everything that has happened to you, not just from this incarnation, it's all your genetic information from all of your ancestors and your DNA that is also in this field, and your soul memory. And honestly, soul memory and genetic memory, nobody has to believe in any of that, because guess what? We're breathing each other. We're all recycled, because we're breathing the atmosphere of the earth, in that oneness that holds the molecules of memory from the whole history of the planet. So from that part, when you think about it that way, and David Suzuki, that we can claim as our Canadian scientist, but he's a very internationally acknowledged scientist for the environment, talks about how we are breathing molecules of Hitler and Jesus and Buddha, all the greats and all the not so greats. So there is no separation. And that is what, the spiritual teachings from all traditions also teach, that there is no separation. We're breathing in each of ourselves, from that collective history and memory of the planet. So, it's fascinating when you start hearing things like that, and puzzling in many respects. And so how does the individual expression connect into that greater connection and oneness? Well, when you clear all the stuff that's not who you are, and you identify with your spiritual self, what are the properties of spirit? You know, spirit is love, it's compassion, it's understanding, it's all the good stuff. And all the stuff that's not who you are is the stuff that doesn't feel good. Remember, Wayne Dyer used to say, you know, good is just God with an extra O. And so we all want to feel that God within, that piece of ourselves, that spirit, our package of infinite universal energy that we're breathing in to our container, if you will, our bodies. And we're like supercomputers. And so, you know, we get to have all of this available to us. It is actually all within us. We're breathing the infinite informational field and the field of infinite potential into and with every breath. And so it's really incredible who we are as it's just a physical vehicle. It's a miracle machine. And what I've learned through, you know, through physics and cellular biology and different paths that I've been blessed to have exposure to and learn from, all the great teachers that of my experience, it's really, it comes down to the same thing. You know, we're all part of each other. And so how do we clear? You know, I was doing some work with a friend this morning, and he said, well, what do you do when you get those triggers? You know, like you get triggered. Anybody get triggered around here? Yeah, it's part of human. And in fact, you know, I think I've been talking about writing a new book. My current book is Your Magical Evolutionary Code Unleashed, and the subtitle, The Science of Inner Resonance, that Bruce Lipton endorses on the front cover. And I'm really blessed to be on his website and in his latest 2 books, because Inner Resonance Technologies is a practical application of that science. And so based on that, you know, you can have a shortcut available, because we're like this incredible supercomputer, okay? So the brain, the body, everything, we have 100,000 cells, and we're replacing them on a regular basis every day. So why do we have the same chronic illnesses or challenges from an old car accident 20 years ago? Why do we still have bad backs? It's because you have unresolved issues that have the memory still charged in your field. So most modalities approach with the symptoms, you know, which is where the body out pictures, because the body's always acting out what's in our field. And so somebody pokes you, they push your button, right? And there you go, like a puppet, you know, there it goes again. Oh, how do I control that? Well, you don't control it. You know, it's like you don't need anger management. You want to neutralize that anger and clear it, you know, and so you're available to the wisdom of that experience, and not victim to reactivity out of your conscious control. Because, you know, when you get triggered, it's not really in your control, is it? Your buttons get pushed, and it's like a puppet, like I said. And so how do you stop that? You know, the book I was going to, I've been talking about updating this work with, has the working title, You Are Not Your Crap Magnet. And the subtitle, A Case of Mistaken Identification, because it's not who you are. You know, what's happened to you doesn't need to define you. And we're so often claiming everything. I am this, I am that, you know. And so your crap magnet is all that unresolved, charged up information in patterns of energy in your field. And so that's where Inner Resonance addresses it in your field. Einstein is quoted to have said, the particle is ruled by the field. And so, where's the particle? Right here, right? This is the particle. And the field is all around us poking at that, because the field influences the particle. So you take a metal plate and you put a bunch of sand on it, or metal filings probably better, and then you get a big magnet, and you know, what happens to those particles? You know, they're subject to the magnetic pull, right? The magnetic field. So just like us, we have a magnetic and electromagnetic field. Everything's energy. And when something comes along that, you know, is of a similar nature to what you're unresolved with in your subconscious, then that's where you have an opportunity. That's the opportunity. And once you've gone through this protocol, which has a few steps that I will tell you about, and then I'll take you through, then you have like an icon on your touch, on your what I call a touch breath, which is like an icon on your desktop. You know, your skin is that entry point, right, of all the information that is then poking at you and creating a physical response with. And so once you've gone through the protocol, you have that, we'll go through 5 deeper breaths at the very end, because what you'll be experiencing at the end of all the steps is what I call the chemistry of wholeness and the frequency of greater freedom to be your magnificent self, free of what no longer needs to drag at you, poke at you, trigger you. That's freedom. Freedom to really be more of your whole self than ever before. And then you can just be comfortable in your own skin and available to be in the moment, you know, with the law of attraction bringing good things to you, because that's where you're vibrating, that's where you're resonating, when you feel good. And there's nothing to do and everything to allow. And then from that place, you get inspired. So I think that being said, you know, it might be good to let you know what the steps are. And then if anybody wants any more information, you'll be able to contact me. I'll put my email in the chat here. And I'm also going to put a link in for you to click on to actually book sessions for you tonight. But I'll talk about that at the end. And I'll put the link in at the end for you, so you have that opportunity. And in the meantime, the steps are, you know, just breathing. We start with the breath, then we end with the breath. So the first part is just breathing and being present with our breath and remembering who we are, spiritual beings, breathing in our portion of infinite potential of spirit into our container to have an experience in this dimension. And then each of you get opportunity to say yes and thank you to your higher self, to source, and all of whatever you believe is spiritually there to support you. Some people believe in angels, spirit helpers, guides, whatever it is. If you have that kind of spiritual awareness and belief, and then you have an opportunity to say yes and thank you as you invite everything in the unseen to support you. And then we go to the body and we wake up all the programs in the body, because, you know, when you have pain or trauma happen, what happens, right? We contract and we shut down. And then when it's safe, you know, when the tiger's gone, racing around the tree and we're up the tree, we carefully come down the tree and we look around, but we're always now careful to always be watching, you know? And so that's where fear and anxiety comes from with any unresolved issues. And so a lot of those pathways in our brain and in our self don't fully open back up again. You know, how many people have had heartbreak and had breakups of relationship? And then you think, oh, it's so hard to open my heart and be vulnerable. You know, I just am afraid I'm going to be hurt again. And so that limits you. So there's so many limiting programs that we have, some of which we're aware, most of them we're not. And so, so we just want to switch on full receptivity of all the programs, all the pathways that are going to allow you the maximum benefit here tonight. And the operative words for that, you know, are 3 words: switch on body. It's a voice activated system, big surprise. So we'll say switch on body when we get to that step. The next step is to sit at the keyboard. Okay, so if you were commander of your personal reality, and if you were commander of your own universe, you know, what would you choose? So this is a place where you get to command your own choices. And so we say, I am choosing freedom from blank, 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 right? And then at the end of the protocol, when you're in the center of your heart, in a clear space, connected into more of your potential, what happens is that you get a chance to dream and vision in anything that you choose, or just zone out in a peaceful place. And both are good, because when you're clear, all the good things in who you are is going to automatically attract all the good things that represent who you are and what you truly resonate with in your soul. And when that starts to happen, it's pretty magnificent. And that's who you are. So it's going to be exciting to get feedback from each of you of how, you know, how things happen for you, and inviting that to be shared in an email or a text. I would really welcome that. So in the meantime, the next step is then going through all of the levels of memory. So it's not just this current time and space. We address all the memory of your whole life, all of the past life memory, all the memory of the planet, all your ancestral memory, and all galactic memory, whatever that might mean to you. And as I said, all that aside, we're part of and one with it all. So it all gets addressed from all times, all places. And then we specifically address all of the ways any unresolved issues have been interfering with you unnecessarily, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, relationships, but most particularly that relationship with you and your higher self and all that is. The connection and the alignment with your magnificent self to be more available to you. And then we allow all of your multidimensional selves to be coherently realigned around the greatest, most magnificent expression of who you truly are. Abundant, joyful, happy for no reason, and just enjoying life to the full. And then that's a lot. You know, we're not used to asking, you know, and having this one-stop shopping available to us. And so the next step is that I take you through agreements where you get to say yes. The only answer is yes. And for example, first agreement is to allow, are you choosing to allow only the safest and most appropriate process to happen for you at all times? The next agreement is to allow everything to happen in an easy and gentle way for a change. We sure know about the struggle. I've got several PhDs in that department. And so easy and gentle. And then allowing effortless grace to guide us to instant and permanent shift of what's no longer necessary or relevant to this time and place moving forward, to happen in that way that you're agreeing to. And then allowing whatever's left over to be a place to practice and know that you'll have another tool that we talked about, your touch and your breath, to activate the whole program, what I would call a super duper defrag antiviral program for whatever's ready in that moment that may not be ready tonight. So in other words, this is a gift that keeps on giving. It's an internalized activation that you can access on a daily basis for your own self and for whenever you're triggered. And so then the next agreement is allowing the part of you that's open to something different being possible in a different way to be in charge. And then to allow the part of you that knows how to allow beyond your conscious mind's awareness, not where it happens, or your body's need to act anything out. So your body doesn't need to act anything out. This is really worth repetition here, because that's what happens. That's how our body is designed, to process, right? And to act everything out. That's what it's designed for. However, it's designed to do that in the moment, you know, and keeping you current in the moment. But when you have all this backups, it's like, oh, I can't start crying. I'll never stop, right? So whatever's causing the tears, gets dried up, neutralized in your field. And so then there's no need to cry unless you want to. I mean, nothing wrong with crying. It's great. It's a great release and a great expression. But when it's overwhelming, you can shift and clear what is overwhelming and not necessary. And I know a woman came to a retreat one year, and she signed up for the first session with me. And she's saying at dinner, I'm just looking forward to a good cry. When I come here every year, I just love to cry. It's just so cleansing and so refreshing, and it feels so good when you stop crying. But she loved to cry. And so, but at her, internal higher self level, she was given a choice when I did her session with her, and she did the session with me. It's more to the point. And what happened is I saw her at breakfast, and she was just glowing. Oh, I feel wonderful today, but I'm really kind of pissed off because I didn't get to cry. I have no need to cry. And so that was the paradigm shift for her. And that was pretty interesting, and that's what happens. But it's only at the choice of your higher self, of your greater good, that things get shifted in their own time and their own way. So once you've made that last agreement to allow that part of you that knows how to allow to go and play in that great mystery with your higher self and spirit, your spiritual team, then you just get to go on holiday somewhere or have a nap. Who is that that's all ready to have a nap there? I think that's Darlene. Anyway, so yeah, because it doesn't happen up here. It's not what it's about. It's happening in your field, beyond your capacity to track or need to think or do or make anything happen. And that's the different paradigm that this represents. And that's why it's faster, more layers, more levels get addressed simultaneously, but only what's ready. And that's the joy of it. It's safe, and it's commanded by you and your higher self. I don't do anything to you or for you. I don't go in and mess with your field. Your higher self, and you know best for that. So I just take a step back and do my own visioning and my own peaceful place as a resonance also. So let's go through it for real. I just need to tell you, it's a little bit sneaky in telling you what the steps are. Your subconscious already knows this. So it's already doing it. It's already processing and activating and clearing and shifting and realigning, balancing. It's already happening. So, but there's great value in consciously connecting and consciously choosing to allow. So let's get started for real, okay? Just going to take some water. Anybody has some water? This machine works really well on water. Pour some more. So, are you breathing? Just be present with your breath. And just notice where your breath goes in and out. You can breathe any old way with this work. It's not about shallow or deep. Not about yoga or not yoga. Just breathe. Just be present with however you're choosing to breathe. Allowing the breath to breathe you. And remember, you're breathing in the breath of life, the breath of the all of everything that is, the infinite universe, your portion of that into your body, your experiencer in this dimension of God experiencing herself, his self, itself. And taking a moment to say yes and thank you to your higher self and source, the universe, and any spiritual helpers or spiritual team that you may have. And keep it simple. Just yes and thank you. They're already there. Already waiting. And breathing into your body, just becoming aware of where your body is touching the world around you, where your feet and hands are, where your clothes are touching your skin, wherever you're resting or sitting. I know the body is this incredible machine like we talked about. The body has all these programs that know how to keep regenerating us. The body knows what is resonating with in your field that isn't, helpful or feeling good. But most important of all, your body, believe it or not, is always an instant responder to infinite consciousness, where everything already exists. It's happening all the time. We're just not aware or in command of it because we have too much static in the way, too much static. So we want to switch on the body's full capacity to be a full-on responder for your greater good here tonight and today, wherever you are, and to allow all of those signals to reach you and the body to respond and open itself back up again for your greater good. So the operative words are switch on body. So I'm going to count to 3, and all of you who are muted can say out loud to yourself, switch on body. Okay, I'm just going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Switch on body. So you're plugged into greater source, you've switched on your machine, and now you're sitting at the keyboard. And that's usually what we call a command, isn't it? A command into the system. So we create a softer way of approaching that because we're, mostly in a victim mentality in our culture. And so we're going to say, I am choosing. So take a moment to think about, within your own self, what you're choosing freedom from. Things that you react to, things that are not optimal in your life at this time, things that are in the way of your magnificent self. The very fact that you may not even know your magnificent self yet. Whatever it is, if you're feeling, whatever it is you're feeling less than you'd like to feel, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, relationships, all of that. I'll just give you a moment to reflect. Everything's game. Whatever it is, it's all connected. And so whether you've had time to think of the long list, know that everything is already known. Everything's already known in your field of consciousness surrounding your body, your mind field. So is it okay if we just say then all issues, known and unknown, that are no longer serving any useful positive purpose except to interfere with you and disconnect you from the truth of your magnificent self? So from that point of view, know that all issues, known and unknown, are being addressed as you have breathed in your connection, your part of universal life force energy, and you've said yes and thank you to your higher self and all of whatever you believe is spiritually there supporting you. We start with a breath and we end with a breath. Those of you that are just joining us, everybody is reflecting on what they're choosing to be free of as we go through the process, the protocol right here now. So just breathing in, saying yes and thank you, saying switch on body to your body's programs and capacities to open up fully, to be completely receptive to your greater good here tonight. And now just reflecting and knowing, even though you've just come in late, you're coming into the field where it is already known in your subconscious. And so we're choosing all issues, known and unknown, that no longer serve your greater good. And so to allow all the levels of memory to be addressed that interfere with you being your greatest, most magnificent self. That's your whole life, going all the way back. All your ancestral memory of your DNA that you no longer need to carry forward. Not yours, no need to keep identifying with that, no need to drag it anywhere. We're shifting and clearing everything at an energetic level in your field so that your body and your mind and your spirit can just be at one and be joyful for no reason and be inspired into the service that you love. So to allow all the ways that on all the levels of memory, your life, the ancestral DNA, your soul memory, the memory of the history of the planet, because we're breathing in recycled molecules of memory, and galactic memory, whatever that may mean to you. And addressing all the ways, all the parts of us that may be interfered with right now, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, relationships of all kinds, but most particularly that relationship with your own magnificent self and all that is. That one part of everything and everyone. And so to allow all of your multidimensional selves to be coherently realigned around the greatest expression of the greater truth of who you really are. Fully alive, fully happy for no reason, fully inspired and healthy and abundant in every way. This is our birthright. This is who we are. So now I'm going to take you through those agreements that we talked about a few minutes ago. Those of you that have just come on, just play along. The only answer is yes. Easy, easy peasy. So are you choosing to allow, and just say yes to yourself in all these questions, are you choosing to allow to shift only what is the safest and most appropriate for you and all concerned at all times? Yes. Are you allowing this to be and open to this being easy and gentle for a change? We know about the struggle. We're going into effortless. Speaking of which, the next agreement is, are you allowing effortless grace to guide the way to instant and permanent shift for everything that no longer is relevant to this time and place or needed on any level, any positive, practical purpose of any kind? And for what may not be ready tonight, any leftovers, to trust that everything is unfolding in its own timing, in its own way. So to trust that everything is in divine right order, showing up as an opportunity at every moment. So to accept with less resistance what is in each moment, knowing that you'll have another tool to shift everything as it appears on a daily basis. The next agreement is to allow the part of you that's open to something different being possible in a different way to be in charge. And then the last agreement is to allow the part of you that knows how to allow beyond your conscious awareness, because that's not where it happens. It's happening in your superconscious, spiritual consciousness beyond your conscious awareness or ability to track or think or do or need to make anything happen. Nothing to do, everything to allow. And then to allow yourself the freedom just to be somewhere really peaceful. There's nothing to do. And remembering your body does not need to act anything out here. The body is the part that gets poked by all that stuff in your field. So we're giving the body a nice little rest tonight. We're addressing everything in the field. So I invite you, if you like imagining things, to be somewhere peaceful or happy or fun. You could even have a little nap. Your subconscious will bring you back in the right time to check back in. And if you choose to imagine, to show up and to be fully present, practice presence. You know, what are you seeing? What are you smelling? Is there anything delicious? What are the colors? What are the shapes? What are the details that we often just gloss over because we assume that we know what that tree looks like? Be fully present. If you like, nothing to do, everything just to allow. So because we're beyond time, just going to invite you into anything that you're choosing to create as though it already exists, it already is happening. End result. You may not, and it doesn't matter, because everything that is yours will have the freedom in that clear space as you sit in the center of your heart, connected in clearly, without any interference, to your magnificent self and all that is you, that acts like your golden magnet. So there's no need to have something to vision, but if you do have something, it's a good time to do it, just to feel it. And breathing in and out with awareness of your heart center as you're feeling that peaceful feeling and that happiness if you're envisioning something that you're loving to create. It's what I call the chemistry of wholeness and the frequency of greater freedom to be more of yourself than ever before. And as you breathe in and out of your heart center with awareness of how you feel, your body, your mind, your heart, just reflect on something that, or things that you could be really grateful for. That you are already grateful for. It's a wonderful chemistry to add in. And breathing and breathing and breathing. Because what's happening is that you're connecting now a switch in your brain for this end result chemistry of wholeness and this frequency of greater freedom. And choosing a spot somewhere where maybe where your hands are already resting, or tongue on the roof of your mouth is also a good one. And just adding that into your streaming awareness, marinating all that together. your breath in and out of your heart center with gratitude and awareness of how good and relaxed you're feeling, with awareness of that touch of where you're choosing, that then you can activate this chemistry and this frequency on a daily basis to keep yourself current at night before you sleep, in the morning when you wake up, and especially anytime you get triggered. You can build on the frequency and the positive chemistry by adding in a touch breath anytime something is really wonderful and you're feeling magnificent. Then you can just add that in so you build on the strength. And every day, in every way, exponentially, life becomes amazing. I've been doing this for 28 years, so seen a few things happen. So let's just all take 5 breaths together, breathing in, where you're touching your spot, and breathing out, letting go of your spot. Next breath in, touching your spot again, and breathing out, letting go. Breathing in and touching, and breathing out, letting go. Another couple of breaths in your own rhythm. So as you're back in the room with everybody, seen or unseen, just know that there's another golden opportunity for you tonight, because this work is phenomenal. It changes lives. Allows you to change your lives in all the best ways ever. And in all quadrants of your life, all aspects of who you are just becomes more and more magnificent. And life becomes, so fulfilling. And I normally, because of the principle of 5, anchoring in a new reality, in a new program, I usually do 5 sessions in a package with people. One session is $333, and a package of 5 is $999. So basically, in that package, you're receiving 5 sessions for the price of 3. But, as a gift for James's community here tonight, I'm offering a special 24-hour deal for $777 for 5 sessions. And so there is a, clock timing this out for by tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And when you click on the link that I put in the group chat, it takes you to the page for you to book and pay, and then takes you to another page where you get to contact me, and we'll set up your magnificent self. And so I just really want to encourage you to think about that. It's phenomenal. And let me know my email. I'll put my email in there as well, because otherwise you get the email when you pay and book. But I'm going to give you all my email now. It's I'm going to give you my website email, irt@maureenedw.com for that. So if you have any questions for me, please ask. I'm totally open and receptive to talking and chatting about how this can be possible for you. it's so elegant. And once you have your touch breath installed, which you have tonight, you use it on a daily basis for everything and anything that you might need to feel better about. And so you already have that installed. And to anchor in a new reality, you know, we sometimes need a bit of repetition. So for example, the first time the subconscious gets something really different and new, it's in a protective mode. Wow, this is great, but, you know, how long is this going to last? And really, is that really even possible? Did that really happen? And so it's a doubt. And then the second and third time, the information gets acknowledged and is accepted on the logical and emotional sides of the brain. Fourth is greater integration, and that becomes a nice little platform, a nice little square. I don't know if I can even do a square here. Oh, well, whatever. And a square, you know, it's a good platform to build on. And 5 is the number of positive change. It is the 5th element, so that includes ether and consciousness. It's the sacred geometry of an equilateral triangle, which is very powerful symbol. And so 5, you know, is a basic building block of the universe. And so that's why 5. And incredible things happen, you know, especially between sessions 3 and 4 that are just mind-blowing. And everything opens up a whole new way, in a way that you never could have imagined. And I've watched this, as I say, happen so many times. And it's so rewarding to be part of that in any kind of small way by guiding you through this way of being, basically. So I really want to thank James again, James Sinclair. You are magnificent. And anybody that is on the call that doesn't know, I mean, mainly the community of the What If, the movie that James did a beautiful job on in 2009. And check out his website link from there to all the programs that he offers. And, you know, I just really want to express my gratitude for you, James, for setting all this up. I was overwhelmed by how elegant everything is and the beautiful people that you know. So thank you once again.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Maureen, for doing this.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so much love to all of you, and may you have, you know, the best holiday season ever. And I'd be grateful to hear from you. And hopefully the cloud recording can be shared. And I know that Kaylee is going to make sure that I have all the pieces in place to understand how to do that. The last time I tried to share some Zoom recordings, somehow it didn't work. So thank you, Kaylee, for being a resource for me. And yeah, so thanks so much. And maybe we can just unmute everybody as we say sayonara, or as in Hawaii, they say until we meet again. And that is ahui ho, A-H-U-I-H-O-U, ahui ho. So I'm just going to see about unmuting everybody again, for those of you that are left. And I think that should work. Oh, there we go. All participants are unmuted. Hey, great techie that I am. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. So good night for now. And James has all of your emails, and so we'll send out a copy of the recording. Okay. That's good.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye.